Virgo, welcome to your New Year's spread for 2019. It's Raina. Shout out to mywanderingfool.com, which is the source of this particular spread. And I'm balancing my iPad on my left thigh so that I can refer to all the positions, and I will, or even remember how it all goes, and then I will let you know after the fact. Okay. Let's put these aside. These are all supposed to be on the same level. The first card is the main theme of the new year, the Moon card. Wow. Well, the Moon card is connected to two things. I would say first and foremost, art and intuition, or perhaps anything spiritual. So it sounds to me that this is the kind of year that is more of a yin year. This could be a time where you're honing your intuition. You have had a long transit of Neptune in its own sign, Pisces. I don't know what year it went in there. Probably 2011. I can't remember exactly, but it's going to be there until 2025. So it's opposing your sun, or if you happen to be watching this for your rising sign. I usually tell people to watch for their sun signs. It's really not connected to anything astrological, these tarot readings, except for what I mention in terms of the transits. So I tried to just keep it to the sun signs because it's just a division for the purposes of giving readings to a certain segment of the population. And so because of this, it may come in conflict with some more practical matters. It may not be one of those practical years. And for a Virgo individual, that can be a little bit of a challenge because you are an earth sign. So it's like about being able to take care of what you need to take care of and still immerse yourself in this area of life which is not meant to be connected to the world. So perhaps some of you have plans to spend a certain portion of time in solitude or some kind of religious, spiritual environment. Or maybe you're pursuing even a career that's based on spiritual things, like becoming a yoga teacher or being some kind of healer even. So the Moon card is connected to Pisces when it comes to the tarot, but it rules Cancer, so go figure. Perhaps one of those two signs is going to be prominent in your life, maybe even already has begun to be somebody that you have gotten to know or you care about. The second card is departing energies from last year. We have the Five of Swords. Well, that's good that this is departing, because this is the kind of card, if I end the reading this way, I will pick another card. This is a card, you can see that there are other people in the background. There could have been conflict with multiple people, perhaps in a group dynamic, like an office. I like to think of an office as being where there's a lot of intrigue and backstabbing and things like that. This could have been an ex. Maybe was it a Gemini? I'm thinking of air signs. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, who was someone who lied a lot and caused you a lot of grief because of their behavior, their gaslighting behavior, or their just dishonest behavior. This could be some kind of romantic situation where you were with somebody who was cheating, and maybe with multiple people, and you found out. One thing I do have to say about the Moon card, though, if that is something that you've been coming from, is be careful not to go into the new year with denial. If you have a relationship where you suspect or you know already that somebody is cheating on you, the Moon card could indicate that a person is in denial about something, and that they're fooling themselves or lying to themselves. The Moon card can relate to deception. So it may be that you're starting the year off as you ended the last one, if you're dealing with that. So in that case, that would be something they would need to deal with. The Moon card sometimes deals with addiction. So if you're dealing with somebody who has this problem, this may be first and foremost on your mind. Remember that this is a general reading, so it's not meant in, I always say spiritual entertainment, because obviously it cannot tell what is happening or what will happen to all Virgo people. So if you notice a theme in your life that is connected to this, and it is upsetting because it reminds you of problems that you have, understand that problems are opportunities that you can solve when you are ready to solve them. But first you have to see that something and admit that something is a problem. And that's where a lot of people don't end up solving the problem, because they're still trying to characterize it as something that's not, until it gets to be too much. And then by that time, sometimes they're like feeling very dragged down by the situation. So the third card is talents you will be expressing in the next year. And we have the Page of Pentacles. Now, isn't that interesting? Pages connect to messages, and Pentacles is the earth. That makes me wonder if some people are going to be writing and trying to make a living from writing. Even fiction still can be messages that you're getting paid for. And blogging is another one that I think would be very appealing to Virgo. So if you've ever had any kind of fantasies about starting something like that, research it and see how people do it. And you could even start for free, but even getting a website isn't that expensive. It's not that expensive to put out the money for a website and a web address in the grand scheme of things. As a hobby even, that could turn into something profitable. So if that's something that interests you, definitely look into it. And in the first couple of months of the year, actually until early March, there is the opportunity to start new projects with a green light, with no planets retrograde, from January 6th to March 6th. So that's pretty cool. Or March 5th. So that's really great. So anyway, other areas, I would say anything internet based too would be possible, because we're talking about communication and the third house in astrology. I always go back to astrology because I find that it has a very detailed system that connects to even some of these cards, probably every last one of them. and can kind of fill in the blanks. The next card is future opportunities. And by the way, the Page of Pentacles for a personal relationship could be a start of a relationship with a fellow earth sign. So another Virgo, Capricorn, or Taurus. Future opportunities, Knight of Wands. This is associated with Sagittarius. So this could even be with travel. This could be with something where you feel a sense of freedom. So again, if you have any kind of internet business, you don't necessarily have to be in one physical location. You can travel and still make money as you're traveling. And the Knight of Wands is just feeling a sense of being able to experience exciting things, but not having to necessarily settle down. And so to me, when I think of Sagittarius, one of the first things I think about is traveling. Something expansive, but I would say even in a physical sense. And yeah, I mean, to me, it's not like a 9-to-5 office. And I think a lot of Virgo people are perfectly happy to work in a 9-to-5 environment. But that might not be what is happening for you at this time, or maybe it's just something that has come over you that is making you feel like, yay, I want to do this. And I'll tell you something too. This is important because in 2019, and I mentioned March 6th initially. March 6th is the date that Uranus goes back into Taurus. It was briefly in Taurus. It's going to be in this sign for 7 years. And this so happens to fall in your 9th house, which is Sagittarius's house. And so this indicates, the 9th house in part is about traveling, as well as possibly studying maybe metaphysical topics, or, something that connects you to your intuition and to things of that nature. So it could be that travel is part of this, that, like I said, you're training to be a yoga teacher. You go to Bali to do that or something along those lines. Well, the 9th house with Uranus there could be a lot of these kinds of things where it's like all of a sudden you decide to take this trip, or the way that it's happening, the way that you've set things up, it's just like you're going from place to place. So let's say you're from America and you go to Europe and you just start to go to all these different countries, or you go to Southeast Asia and you're visiting all these different countries, and you're doing so, I wouldn't say on a whim, but it's like when you feel intuitively that it's time to move on. And Uranus, I mean, maybe this has to do with work where you're assigned to a certain location, and then you move, you're always moving. So you may be kind of a nomad for the next 7 years. And yet with the Knight of Wands, you have the right spirit for that. Upcoming obstacles, we have the 8 of Wands. Well, this is kind of like, to me, even though this is fire energy, it reminds me of that Uranus in the 9th house, because as I said, the 9th house is Sagittarius' house, so it's got that fire element, and this is fire element, and this is about things happening all of a sudden, coming at you. They're positive. They could be career-related opportunities, but the problem is that you may have to, like, on a moment's notice, make a decision. So that kind of goes along with that Knight of Wands card. So even though it can be stimulating, it can be exciting, it can be a bit I don't know, I wouldn't say unnerving, but what's the proper word? Where it just like turns your life upside down because you can't predict, unpredictable, okay? So Virgo rules the sixth house, and part of that is your routine, you know, how, you know, being organized in that sense. And you may feel like you can't plan for anything because you may have to move again for your job right away, and you may feel like your whole life is up in the air. And this too shall pass. I mean, this is not going to be here forever. But if you look at it in a different way, you can say, you know what? I have lived my life with a very strict routine, and now that it's kind of like turning around, I think that this is really a great thing, because this means that I can be able to experience the spontaneity that maybe I typically am not really interested in. I'm just getting my my iPad just went dark. Okay, the next card is how to deal with these obstacles. We have the Wheel of Fortune. And, well, this is such a positive card. I think you deal with it by remaining positive. This is connected to Jupiter. Jupiter is in your fourth house of home and family, so it is expanding this area in some way. Maybe you are going to buy a house in 2019, or a bigger house. Somehow you're improving your living situation. But again, how you might say to me, but you just said I'm going to be globetrotting. Why would I buy a house? And it could simply be that if the opportunity arises, that buying a house gives you that sense of having a home base that you can go back to, even on the psychological level. But obviously it depends on other factors, because if you really are traveling frequently, long distances, you may not want to leave your house unattended for long periods of time. But yeah, I mean, there's something coming along with your fourth house. But in general, how you deal with these kinds of things is understand that they are actually, that the universe is conspiring on your behalf, and that this is a good thing. Obviously, in any opportunity, there are going to be certain drawbacks. It's just part of life. I can't think of anything that is 100% perfect. But of course, Virgos are looking for perfection. So they may focus on the minor flaw and forget about all the blessings that this particular card gives them. And the final card is how to achieve your hopes and dreams in 2019. And I got the Queen of Wands. Connected again to Sagittarius. So when I make a strong connection, you know, Jupiter, and this is connected to Sagittarius, and this is connected to Sagittarius, I will say that we look at the transit and see how the transit may impact the person's life. And this is Jupiter in Sagittarius and a fellow mutable sign. How does that impact your life? Well, I said it impacts your life in terms of your fourth house, home and family, your real estate, your mother, and things like that. But also, with this Queen of Wands, or with the Sagittarius energy, just look what Sagittarius energy stands for. Broad-mindedness, expansion. I would say honesty. Okay, so going back to that moon card, I think of Sagittarius as a sign that believes in integrity, believes in straightforwardness. All fire energy tends to know itself, have a stronger sense of self, be more independent. And interestingly, when we look at this card, we have a mixture of the male and female energies, with the Queen being the female, obviously, and the Wands being fire and the masculine element. And because you are a feminine sign, I was going to say Gemini, Virgo, you are a sign that needs, I think, some of that masculine energy to be able to assert yourself, to be able to go after what you want. And so this Queen of Wands is a card of confidence, and I think that people are confident when they know themselves. They know what they like, they know what they don't like, they know what is respectful to them coming from other people, and they know what isn't. So going back to that Moon card, if there's any problematic relationship with somebody who is dishonest, who is addicted, or anything like that, you have to decide whether you're going to make them your focus, and you're going to, like a codependent, and you're just going to spend your time trying to save them from themselves, or whether you're going to harness the energy of the Moon for your own benefit, for creative endeavors, for spiritual endeavors. And when you're involved with somebody that you don't trust, I can imagine that your whole life is impacted adversely. So, one of the, I think, characteristics sometimes of the Moon card, when you do sense that there's deception, is that there are half-truths. There's certain things that they may be saying that seem like they are jibing with what's really happening, but they just twist it a little bit so that it's not exactly what is really happening. Or they keep denying it straight to your face, and you can sense that something is up, but you can't prove it, and that's maddening too. So with the Queen of Wands, having the courage, the self-love, the confidence to be able to leave that type of situation and not allow yourself to be consumed by another person's problems. I can't say it more plainly than that. But there's some good cards here, and I think that you're going to have a great time. So I hope that you enjoyed this, Virgo. If you'd like a private reading, please click on the link below. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. Take care. Bye.